the cool thing about social right now is that you could start with your cell phone. Like,
True.
I think too many people overthink it.
Yeah.
And they're like, one day I'll be ready. And like, you're ready now. You just got to turn it on.
What's up, family? Today, I get the chance to speak to Ken Pozek. We're gonna speak on how he got into the real estate world. I wanna know why he got into it 20 years ago. What got him, what amped him into get into the real estate world. I also wanna thank him because when I was thinking about moving to Florida, instead of moving to downtown Orlando, I found this beautiful city that I came to now. And I'm blessed. If he didn't do that, I would have never found this city, and I fell in love with the city. Early morning today is the earliest podcast I've ever done. Lastly, please subscribe to The Loft. I am so thankful for everybody that shares, likes, comments, and is subscribed. We're trying to get to 1,000. Hopefully we get there sooner than later. But right when we get to that 1,000, I know the next mission and the next goal is going to be 1 million. I'm thankful that you guys are on this journey with me while I get to speak to other people about their journeys. The Loft Season 5. Subscribe. I mean, it rhymes. So it's got to be somewhat true, right? If it rhymes, it's got to be true. So Season 5, subscribe. You guys get the gist. Let's do it. Genuinely, that's all. All right. And let's get started. I literally love doing this.
Nice, man. I love it. That's so good.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Loft Podcast. Welcome back to the Loft Podcast. Today we have a relentless, intelligent, creative human being.
That's you.
No, that's you. No. That is you. But before we introduce this special guest, I usually have a team with me, but not today. So I'm just going to go jump right into you. We have the one and only Ken Pozek.
Man, thanks for having me.
Did I say your last name right?
You did. You nailed it. Yeah,
Golden.
Yeah.
I was scared. I was scared. Before we even get started, like we spoke about walking over here, I just want to say thank you, man. When I was doing my hunt to move to Orlando, to move to Florida in general, I came across your video on YouTube, and you were just walking around Oviedo asking people, why is this place so, like, kept silent? Like, why do people not talk about Oviedo? And then people were saying, because we don't want more people to come here.
That's true.
But your breakdown of Oviedo on the park made me move here.
No way. That's
like,
so cool.
Genuinely. Like,
I love to hear that.
Thank you.
Of course, man. Welcome.
And, Ken, who are you in a simple sense?
Oh, man.
That's a hard question.
That is a hard question. I like to say, I'm a husband and father first. But,
love that.
But I'm a content creator that happens to love his city.
Mm-hmm.
And I own a real estate company. I've done this for a couple decades now.
Yeah.
But about over the past 6 years, I kind of fell into this idea of building a media company that happens to sell real estate.
Beautiful.
And so we went from like just me and a cell phone to me and a few more agents. And then now we got 43 people on the team. And that's a mix of creatives, sales, inside sales, back office staff. And we're continuing to grow. And so if I had to fast forward another 20 years, I want to be known as the guy that helped bring more opportunity to Orlando.
Yeah.
And so we're doing that by just showing off what it is to live here, hopefully attract more jobs here and more people like you to move.
Hey, that's a blessing. It's working.
It is working.
It's working. How does it feel being a person that does videos as such for me to like come forward and tell you, hey, I moved here because of you? How does it feel? Like,
it's always good, man. I think it's every day, at least once or twice a day.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And so I was in Publix yesterday, and somebody was like, they ran over, like, we moved here from Jersey because of you.
That's dope.
We're renting right now, but like when it's time to buy, we want to use your team. And so, and then I love like responding, like, where'd you come from? Why Orlando? Because the country's huge. Like, you can move anywhere.
It's true, very true.
Why did you decide to move here? And they were like, well, no, we were thinking about Miami, we were thinking about Tampa, we were thinking about Orlando. We came across your content. Then we were like, kind of fell down the rabbit hole, and we're like, oh no, let's try Orlando. So it's been a lot of fun.
That's so dope. So I want to start from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get from the beginning.
Sure.
What prompted this idea of real estate in your brain?
Yeah, man. So I grew up in Detroit.
Okay.
And most people that say they grew up in Detroit, they grew up in suburban Detroit, but I grew up like actually in the city.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I came from like, my parents were blue collar, factory workers, like worked for the big three. So the automotive industry. And somebody convinced them to put a bunch of money on a credit card to buy like no money down real estate VHS tapes.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, here's how you get rich in real estate. And I was looking around and I was like, I don't want to be a factory worker. I don't want to, this isn't my path. I think that I could go get rich in real estate somehow else. Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like 15, 16, like binge watching like these VHS tapes around buying real estate. And to me, it felt like that was going to be my path.
Yeah.
So I was telling you on the way over here, like I was 17 years old. I applied for my first mortgage, and the guy was like, you don't have any credit and you're not even 18. Like you can't even sign mortgage docs legally.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know that, but that's good to know.
Yeah, it's good to know. Okay, noted.
So it was interesting. So my first house I bought when I was 18, like, because times were different. Like you could barely have any credit, and they would just ask you like, how much money do you make? And I was like, and like,
I make $1.
What do I?
Yeah.
But they're like, all right, so I got my first house at 18. I flipped it. I made like 20 grand.
Beautiful.
And it was like, oh, this is going to be a viable thing.
Yeah.
So I did that for some years, and then the market crashed like 4 or 5 years later. And so then I got into real estate sales.
Yeah. That's dope. I do want to take a step back. That first 20K.
Yeah.
What was going through your brain of like, yo, I did this. Like,
Yeah.
this is completed.
Yeah, I mean, it was me, like, and it wasn't a great area of town. I had bought
Yeah.
this house. It was like not awesome, bank foreclosure. I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, you got like go back when you're 18. Like I'm sitting there painting walls, and trying to figure out tile, and I did it all myself. It was the worst.
Oh, you did it all yourself?
Oh yeah, everything.
Oh,
yeah.
that's beautiful.
And there was like no YouTube University at the time. Like there wasn't like like now
there's no TikTok. You can't just learn this.
I would
on
just
the
go to Home Depot and I'd be like, so like somebody's like buying supplies. I'm like, hey, so how would you do this if you were me? And it was not a great experience. But it was also at the same time, I'm like, man, I own my own outcomes at this point. So yeah, I mean, it was like the first 20K. And so I was also an appraiser at the time. So I got my appraiser license, and I was going through trying to make some income along the way with that. So just always been super entrepreneurial, and I've had the bug since I was young.
That's so dope. That's beautiful. Did you face any like adversity through that? Like, did anybody, since you were so young at that moment, and you were just getting into the real estate game, were you faced with any, you can't do that, that's not going to work for you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so like when I was in high school, I was working at the airport as like a sky cap, and all of these guys had been there for like 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, one day I'm going to quit this job and I'm going to go into real estate. And they're like, yeah, sure. Like we had those dreams too.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm like, no, but for real, this is like going to be my thing. And so the first big check I got, I was like, I came back in, I was like, hey guys, I'm out. And they were like, oh, you're for real.
Oh, you're serious.
Yeah. And it's cool because I go back, I fly through Detroit to go see my parents often still. And I'll see them like working the curb still.
Oh, really?
Like, and they're like in their late 60s still hustling bags. And I'm like, dang, man, like that could have very easily been me.
Yeah.
And nothing, like they're making good money.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
they're making cash.
Yeah.
But it's like that could have been me if I didn't push harder.
If you never took that risk.
Yeah.
So what are some motivational or inspirational words you would have for someone that's thinking about taking that leap into real estate now, even though it's a different world?
Yeah.
It's so many real estate agents nowadays.
Yeah.
Everybody calls themselves a real estate agent nowadays.
Yeah.
So what is your some words of encouragement you'd give them?
Yeah, I think, it's the consistency over time that's going to make you successful. And so many people think it's easy money, but like the average realtor makes like 40 grand a year.
Yeah.
So like it's not easy money.
Yeah.
And the failure rate for real estate agents is near 90%.
Really?
Yeah. So you get your license, and the amount of people that make it to renewal, which is like every 2 years, is like less than 90%. So,
wow.
less than 10% that actually make it after their first. So,
wow.
So it's a high failure rate, and it's because most people don't realize that it's a lead gen game.
Yeah.
It's a customer service game.
Yeah.
It's like a big mindset game. You have to know product knowledge. There's just so much. So last year alone, I had heard from the board here locally that 70% of all agents in Orlando sold 0 to 1 home.
0 to 1?
So like they got their license, maybe their mom or dad wanted to buy a house, and they're like, hey, I can help, and that's what most agents do. But if you want to break out and break through, like you have to do all of those things well: lead generation, brand building, product knowledge. Like it's tough. And so it's a mindset game, but it's also like you got to love that game overall.
That is tough. 0 to 1. That is tough.
No, it's really tough, man.
That is tough.
Well, it's just because it's so easy to get your license, and so like it's $1,400 or something like that to get like classes and get all the way to the MLS. So it's kind of a cheap business to start, and the barrier to entry is really low. So because of that, there's way too many real estate agents.
Going forward, right? So now you're in the real estate at a young age and you're pushing through. What makes you continue on? Is it just the success or the hunger that you want to grow?
Yeah, it's definitely the hunger, man. So like in 2007, the world was falling apart financially, right? So all of a sudden I couldn't flip houses anymore. And there was this interesting change with Dodd-Frank where they said, hey, if you're an appraiser, you can't have the lower level license that I had anymore. You had to like get this high level license, which meant you needed a college degree and like 10 years of experience.
Yeah.
I had neither.
Oh, wow.
And so all of a sudden I couldn't flip houses and I couldn't do appraising. And like, I was like, like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And so I was newly married, baby on the way. Like it was rough.
Yeah.
And so I went from like doing very well. My wife thought she was marrying this guy that was like doing really well, right?
Oh, really?
To like all of a sudden like, hey, we have to sell everything we own and like go rent something. And like it was rough. So what kept me going in that was just like, betting on myself that like I would rather not have a 9 to 5. I'd rather go all in on something that I could like,
do
eat
yourself.
what I kill. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Hey, you're inspiring me just now. So not only do you do the real estate, which is a beautiful thing, I've seen one of your first content videos that you put out. You're a total different person.
Yeah.
Like you also lost a lot of weight as well.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
How do you feel in front of a camera now compared to when you first started?
Man, I was so nervous. I would take like, first I did just selfie videos with my cell phone and a little gimbal, and I would probably redo that take 20, 30 times.
Would you?
Yeah. And my heart, I could feel it in my neck. Like I was like so nervous.
Yeah.
Now, when you start talking from something about you just know, like I'm not nervous right now, you're not nervous.
Yeah,
We're just kind of just hanging out, right?
Yeah.
And so I think once you start adopting that mindset of like, I'm pretty knowledgeable about what I'm talking about, and you prepare enough, then you just show up as you. But that takes time, right? It's a skill that you have to build. So we've put out over 600 videos on my YouTube channel, and between like Instagram and everything else, probably 1,500 over the past 5 years. So I feel like I've had enough at bats to feel comfortable.
That's dope. I saw you. I love the video where you're just doing a whole bunch of different things. Where where you were like, "Do you want to get a haircut from a 2-star person?"
Oh yeah.
I was like, "That is classic."
Ken Pozek, real estate agent here in Orlando, Florida. And there's a few things that I'm just okay at, like juggling and playing the guitar. But at least I suck at tennis. And don't get me started on basketball. Hit me. But there is one thing that I am very good at, which is selling real estate. How do I know? Well, hundreds of my team and I's past clients have left us 5-star reviews on Google, Facebook, Realtor.com, Zillow, Angie's List, Yelp, and Google.
You already said Google.
I know. She might say, well, Ken, do 5-star reviews even matter? Well, you wouldn't eat from a 1-star sushi restaurant, would you? Or get your haircut by a 2-star Karen.
Honey, sit back. Let me do what I do.
I don't think so.
Did you come up with that concept like from that? That was like 2018 for you. When you were shooting like that, were you shooting all that by yourself? Like, how was that getting done?
That was it was like a one and done where I hired a crew for the first time and the last time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they were like, they said, well, you need to come up with a storyboard. We can help you. It's all of this money. And I was like, I'm good on that. Like I can come up with the ideas. So that was, I got that idea from Dollar Shave Club. If you remember that original one.
That's a while
So it was
ago.
kind of like hidden, like the whole walkthrough was almost like very
Fast
seamless.
pace, yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, I knew what the end result should be, which is I want people to realize that like I know what I'm talking about, that I'm very well ranked. But from a funny perspective, that wasn't just, I'm a great realtor, call me, right? And so we storyboarded that out, and it was like lighting crew, sound crew, video crew, and once I saw the results, I'm like, I don't know that I really got a ton of business from this.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna grab my cell phone and get rolling instead, you know? So
it was a good start, I think, because I watched it and I laughed. But,
okay, good.
But for what you're saying, for the results, for actually people reaching out to engage with you. Yeah, I can get that part.
Because a lot of people like that are content creators. I'm in the real estate space, but I talk to a lot of people in the mortgage space or just small business owners in general. They're like, well, I can't afford $5,000 crew every week.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I get that, right?
Yeah.
So the cool thing about social right now is that you could start with your cell phone. Like,
True.
I think too many people overthink it.
Yeah.
And they're like, one day I'll be ready. And like, you're ready now. You just got to turn it on.
That's beautiful. So how do you feel about the the TikTok space of real estate agents just going on there. The new advertising for homes where they're just talking smack about the homes. And they're like, this room is kind of small.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's a different space. How do you feel
is.
about that world now, Bean?
I think there's like, you have to understand your audience, right? And so I come from a position of like, I want to be a teacher, educator, and the people that are going to reach out to me care about that. The people on TikTok or Instagram, like I know who you're talking about, and it's hilarious. And some of these people are growing so fast.
Crazy.
And like, I think it's mostly other realtors are following them. Like, oh my gosh, it's funny. That's what I think when I'm in a house. And so, but he's probably getting business as well, right?
True.
And so the cool thing about it is like, there's no one way to do content.
No.
You got to be true to yourself. Like he's probably that way in real life. And so like, and that's awesome. Like, I think that's so cool. That's not me.
Yeah, that's not who you are.
So if I try to show up and do it, and I was like, I think his whole thing is I know who you're talking about. So he walks into the bathroom. He's like, "This bathroom's big as shit." And like, and you're like if I did that, it would seem inauthentic.
Yes.
Right?
And I think the authenticity of like when I was. That's what I was trying to get you there. But the reason why I moved here is because you are so authentic. Of like, this place is beautiful. Like you walk around and it feels like a community. It feels like home.
Yeah.
And that's the sense of peace that I wanted to get to when I moved here. So once I literally, I never got to visit the place.
No way.
I had to make the decision on the phone, on FaceTime with the leasing agent, which I'm really pretty cool with, Kalijah. And I was like, let's just FaceTime and look, because I saw it on YouTube and it looked great, but let me see it on FaceTime. And he just walked me around, showed me all the spots that you were showing around. And I was like, yeah, this place is like its own world, and it's literally 15 minutes away from downtown if you wanted to get there. And and I fell in love with the first day I came down here was my first day of work as well.
Oh my gosh. Shut up.
So I got down here and I was like, this place is beautiful. I love it. Everybody that comes and visits me has the same reaction. It's just like, oh, this is why you don't want to leave.
Yeah.
This is why you're so happy out here. So thank you for being so authentic and not like trying to just be an attention. That's what I was trying to say. People do the attention grabbing with their content, but it doesn't feel authentic and it just leaves you there.
Right.
So I'm thankful for that you did that.
Yeah, for sure. And there's also the other side of like, real estate, like whether it's real estate, cars, like anything you're selling, like where you can tell it's very salesy. Like my thing is, I'm a big Gary Vee fan.
Shout out Gary Vee.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I got a whole story there, I'll tell you. But
dope.
So his book, Jab, 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 Right Hook, was like, like you give value, and at the end you hit the right hook and the ask. And so for me, I'm like, I actually have to show up and provide value for my audience. And if I don't, they're going to go bounce to somebody else. True. And so I'm glad you found some value, man. That's cool.
Thank you, man. No, genuinely happy. Shout out Gary Vee, but it just sparked the brain thought in my head. You took a shot in Shaq's house?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Yeah, so Shaq, obviously, he played for the Magic here. He had a huge house over in Windermere, and it had been on the market for years. Like, and the agents, whether it was him choosing the price or his manager or the agent that listed it, they had it way overpriced.
Yeah.
And they finally started changing agents and dropping the price, and it got to a striking zone where I was like, oh, this thing's finally going to sell. Yeah. So I called the listing agent, and I was like, hey, I'd love to come do a video. I'll bring my crew out. Yeah. And at the time, I had videographers and stuff like that. And so I was like, I know you've got your typical realtor drone footage and the kind of stuff you do, but I'd love to do like a tour, because I was a fan of his house from having watched Cribs back in the day, right? MTV Cribs, right? And I was like, this would be like a once in a lifetime opportunity for me to like get to relive that. And thankfully she said, yeah. She's like, hey, like the more, and that's the cool thing about some business owners are more collaborative, and other ones are like, no, this is mine.
This is mine. Don't touch it.
Yeah, don't touch it. Yeah. And you're like, yeah, and you notice the ones that are more collaborative are the ones that win. Yeah. And the ones that are like, all close to their chest are the ones that usually flatline eventually. Yeah. Anyway, she let me in, and so she toured the house, and I think that video is my biggest performing video I've got on YouTube. It's got 1.8 million views. And,
that is beautiful.
We've gotten a bunch of business from it, which is cool. But getting to shoot around in Shaq's house is pretty cool.
That was dope. Yeah. That was dope. So would you say you're pretty well versed in Orlando?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point, yeah.
Do you have? I know it's gonna come. You knew it was gonna come. Do you have a favorite place?
To live or where?
Let's start with live. Favorite place to live?
Yeah, so we live in Horizon West, only because I wanted to be kind of close to Disney, but not in the tourist bubble. Okay. I love Lake Nona. I think what they're doing over there from an innovation standpoint is incredible.
Yeah.
If I could live anywhere, though, if I had to start over again, I probably would choose Winter Park.
Winter Park's beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Winter Park's beautiful.
It's because you can walk to every restaurant you ever want. The real estate is insane.
Yes.
The schools are really great. But we live in Horizon West, and we like it. I mean, it's at the time when we moved there, we moved to Celebration first, and then it just wasn't for us. It was a little too touristy.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's great. It's like, it's perfect. Like you go to Celebration, like there's not trash anywhere. It's like you're living in the Truman Show, right?
Yeah, the Truman Show is literally the name Celebration.
Yeah.
Would you say Baldwin Park is kind of like
It's very similar.
Yeah.
It feels like Celebration, but actually has some soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're close to Winter Park too, and actually some of the schools are shared, so that's kind
really?
of cool.
Yeah.
And I think everything coming to where they redo the Fashion Square Mall, that's going to be very nice as well.
Do you have a favorite store to go to, like favorite coffee shop, I'd say?
Yeah, I mean, I'm drinking Starbucks right now, but I usually right underneath my office is Foxtail, and so like they're a cool,
Foxtail, yeah,
they're a
that's
cool
across the
local
street from
brand.
me.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they're growing everywhere. They just opened one in Vegas, which is wild, but I think if you can support local, that's always fun.
Beautiful, support local. So, what is another goal for you now? So, for me looking at you, right, you seem so successful. I know successful is based in different schedules or different bases in people's personal brains.
Yeah.
But me looking at you, you seem very successful. Do you feel successful yourself?
I think, I got to a point faster than I thought I was going to get to.
Yeah.
But now my goalposts for success have changed.
It moves. It keeps moving.
It does.
Why do we do that to ourselves?
I don't know, man. I don't know. And so I'm in a stage in life where I'm super grateful, and I've always been that kid that was never grateful, which is sad.
Oh,
to
really?
say. Yeah. And so that's something I worked on very hard over the past few years. My wife has very much so helped me. Like, you realize where we're at? Like, this is pretty dang good.
Yeah. Keeps you grounded.
It keeps you grounded. Yeah. She's definitely my yin and yang. But, so now the goalposts have changed for me. So now I want to grow the biggest real estate company here. Yes. But that's kind of ancillary to where I think I can actually affect change in our community in a really big way.
Yeah.
And so helping, everywhere from like homeless all the way up to big corporations and finding their place here in Central Florida. And I think we've got something really special from a talent pool. You got UCF up the road, and it's just like, you got literally 500,000 kids within 2 hours that you can like,
it's huge.
It's huge. And so we got to figure out some affordability things at this point, but beyond that, that's like my ultimate goal.
So, personal question. So I'm thinking about getting into this out here. How do you feel about getting a duplex or getting a multifamily home and having maybe college kids or other people living in it, paying off your rent? How do you feel about that?
Oh, that's great. Yeah. If you get house hack, it's amazing. The problem with Central Florida in general is that there's not enough duplexes. Like I own one down in Soto, and it does really well.
Yeah.
Like it's like we crush in terms of like a cash flow perspective. But like the house hacking thing is an amazing idea.
Yeah.
You go in, you live in one place, on one side, someone else is helping you pay it off on the other side.
Yeah.
So if you can do that, that's awesome. And if you're near UCF, there's a ton of parents that are coming down buying their kid like a condo,
Yes, they are.
which is wild, right? and then they end up renting it and just keeping it long term when their kids are out of college.
Yeah.
So that's a great investment opportunity. But for you, I think that I would do that in a minute.
Beautiful. Looks like I'll be doing that one day. So you also work with someone that went to a school surrounding me, Dylan O'Brien.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I saw that on one of the. I was like, I feel like I know him, and then I was like, yeah, I do know him.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, he's on our team, dude. He's
dope.
amazing.
So that whole entire group is all Pozek group.
Yeah,
that's you.
Yeah.
$1 in a dream. $1 in a dream, and look where you are now.
That's wild.
That's so dope. That's dope. And I see you. I want to give you your flowers now because I know it's gonna happen. I see you doing amazing things for the community continuously.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that's our goal, man. I think awareness is part of it. Like I was talking to somebody just yesterday at the airport who recognized me and came over. We were talking, and he was like, "Hey," he goes, one story nobody tells. He's like, "Did you know that Osceola County, every kid that graduates from Osceola High School can get Valencia College for free, which is community college here locally?" And I'm like, and the problem is like Osceola County sends that, and they're doing great work, but they send that to maybe the Orlando Sentinel there's a little article and it gets forgotten.
Yeah.
And I'm so like, there's so many stories here like that need to be like, everybody should be talking about.
Everybody should be knowing about that.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, everybody thinks, hey, if I go here, I go to college, I'm gonna have $100,000 in debt. I can't, so they go to work somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not minimizing like trade schools or any of that other stuff, but you don't have to go strap yourself with $100,000 in debt.
No,
you just
you
don't have to. So my goal in the media company that we've started is just like, how do I make all of these stories louder and just like have people understand what's going on and the benefits that they can have. So
that's beautiful. I love your story, man.
Oh, thanks.
It's
Man.
genuinely like a good story, especially because it affected me along your run. So it's kind of nice to see. What is there a next step for you? Like smaller term?
Yeah, smaller. I think, the next 1 to 3 years is like, we want to keep growing the real estate company. So thankfully, because of the media side that we're doing, we have more people calling in than we can even help. And this is great. So I need more agents, like the right agents though. Like we get probably 1 or 2 a day that reach out that want to join our company, but we're very picky.
Is it tough to join your, like, how does it, is there like a vetting? Like,
oh yeah,
nah, dude, you're not dope enough. Like, how does that, how do you get added to the team?
It's it's we don't accept brand new agents anymore. So it used to be, it was like, hey, if you're a culture fit, come on. Now it's like culture fit or somebody that's humble, hungry, and smart. So somebody that wants to be a team player long term. So they're not going to come here with a bunch of ego, hungry because they want to help as many people as possible, and they're not going to just wait and hey, send me business. Like you have to get out there and help cultivate it as well. And then smart, meaning just like they want to be aggressive and learn the ins and outs of Orlando the same way that I do.
Yeah.
So that way we can give the same amount of service to every person that comes through.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking for. So somebody that's a little bit of experience, but maybe hasn't gotten going yet, that can plug into our system. So if that happens, then they'll typically do really well.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
But why Orlando?
Yeah. I mean, so my wife and I came down, we brought the kids to Disney all the time. We
Yeah.
got 3 kids. And so we visited here all the time. I was like, all right, so there's no hurricanes that we don't have to worry about here.
No.
And I kind of saw like this emerging kind of cool town where you had a lot of tourists, but there wasn't a lot else that I could really see. And to me, but I could, early on, this is even 2015, 2016 when we moved here, I could start seeing like a lot of different groundswell of cool things happening. And to me, that seemed exciting. We looked at West Palm, we looked at Naples, and those were gray areas, but like Naples felt like the real estate there isn't dope. I mean, average sales price is like $3 million.
Oh,
and
wow.
Like, it's like you got some of the most wealthy people in the world own a second home there, basically.
Second home. Okay.
Right. And so, but it seemed like more of a vacation or like a second home neighborhood. And I was like, I don't know if I want my kids to grow up there. And West Palm was just a little too close to Miami, which just wasn't my vibe. So we decided on Orlando, and it's been the perfect choice.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I really love Orlando. Genuinely, for all my friends that's asking.
Right.
Do you see yourself ever leaving Florida?
No.
No. You're grounded.
Yeah, I've gotten plenty of job offers and plenty of opportunities, and we've been turning them all down.
Really?
Yeah.
Stay near.
Yeah, no, it's good, man.
I love that.
Yeah.
It makes me feel more secure.
All right,
Like,
good.
that's how I feel,
All right,
man.
good, yeah.
When people ask me, because when I was doing my journey of applying for jobs and turning down jobs and interviewing for jobs, Texas was an option because my friend moved out there, and Texas is so cheap.
It depends.
Where you are.
Yeah, it depends where you're at.
Where I was looking was Houston.
Houston, I literally was just there
Yeah,
yesterday.
you just said that. You said
So Houston is definitely less expensive, but like an Austin or a Dallas, like they're more expensive than here.
Yeah.
And they're like the real estate tax is insane, but we've got the same tax climate. So like income tax, where there's no income tax here, which is insane.
When I came from New York, I was like, "What do you guys mean?" There's no,
Yeah. Oh, I get a 13% bump in my, because you don't have taxes taken out, which is pretty dope.
So dope.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, cost of living here has definitely gone up from what it used to be.
Yeah. So then I went from Texas to my journey of California, because the majority of my friends live in California.
What part?
LA.
Okay.
And I was looking over there, and I was like, everything's expensive.
Yeah.
Like, Orlando can be expensive, but I feel like you get more bang for your buck.
I think so too.
LA was just insane, and the jobs just weren't hitting for me either. But I was like, when I got the job offer for LA, and my friend told me about the job out in Florida, I was like, yeah, I'm sorry.
Sorry, bro.
I'm going to Florida.
You got it. And so I think I've done stuff like I put a reel out, and I was like, hey, Florida needs more nurses, and because the Nurse Association of Florida was saying that we have like 30% less nurses than we really need. And people in the comment section were like, oh, because they're underpaid, which they are. Like, I think nurses and they're like teachers often underpaid. But there's people chiming in from LA and they're like, well, I make $100,000 as a nurse. And I'm like, but you live in LA.
Yeah, you're done.
Like,
you're not making $100,000.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
You're
Like
not.
your rent is twice as expensive. Your taxes are twice as expensive. Like your food's twice as like everything. Gas is $2 more a gallon.
Yeah.
So it is relative. You got to look into the nitty gritty.
Why do you think, just to step all the way back again, why do you think we move the goalposts for each other? Like, why do we do that to ourselves?
So I've thought about this a lot, and I'm curious if it's more nature versus nurture and like how you grew up, or just who you are inside. Because I know plenty of people, like I mentioned, the guys that I used to work with at the airport, that they're like, their goalposts have not changed.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we want to come in, do our work,
Yeah.
go watch, go to the bar, watch a football game, like whatever. They've got their things they want to do outside of work.
They're content. Yeah.
They're good, I'm just not built like that.
Yeah.
And so for me, like, I love the building. Like to me, I'm super grateful with where I am, and yet I'm not complacent. And so because to me, I just love the game. Of growth and just figuring out what's possible.
Very
and,
true.
And so once I hit that, I'm like, okay, cool. Now I know it's possible for me. What else is possible?
Yeah.
And so that's just how I'm built.
I'm the same way. I feel like I've watched my pops be a man straight out of Haiti.
Yeah.
Right? Come to America, and he's a pastor. He does so much. Like, he does the world. And I was like, I can't sit back and just not do just as much.
Sure, yeah.
So I am the same way, where I continuously move the goalposts. Sometimes I don't think it's healthy. I generally don't think it's healthy, because I can never just bask in my success sometimes, where I'm just always saying, yeah, I did this, but I think I could have done better, or I could do more. So I think it's a good thing to do that, but sometimes we need to live more in the moment of like your wife does for you, like ground yourself to be like, I'm here and I'm so happy that I got here.
Yeah. There's a book by Dan Sullivan called The Gap and the Gain. I don't know if you've ever read it before, but he talks about so many people focus on forward instead of looking back and saying, like, how far have I come?
Exactly.
Right. And so, the gain of like, hey, here's how far I've come, and appreciate that, and live in the gratitude, and understand that there's still so much ahead of us. And if you're only looking forward and you're only looking to see what you don't have, then you will become like, it's depressing.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
It can be. Yeah.
So
I agree. Do you have any inspirational, motivational words for the people watching that see a real estate agent, content creator, father, husband?
Man, I think it's your game. Like, it's not everybody else's game. So getting really clear around what makes you happy and what would be the journey that you want to go on. Comparison's the thief of joy. I completely believe that. And it's like, even in the content game, like, I'm always looking at, like, so we get invited out often from different media company or different media events, and I'll see other creators go out, and sometimes their stuff takes off, sometimes my stuff takes off, and I'm constantly like, why did theirs take off and mine didn't? Or like, that's like the worst. Like, all of a sudden you stop appreciating where you're at, and like, so you can find where you're at in this of just figuring out your path, just becoming 1% better every day for yourself, not for anybody else. If you get into that, life becomes a lot more fun.
Beautiful. Beautifully said, guys. Shout out Ken. Where can they find you, the people that's watching?
Yeah, it's either if you're local and you like Orlando stuff, the Orlando Reel over on Instagram. And if you're just more into the personal development / real estate journey, over at Instagram, it's at Ken Pozek.
Dope. Yeah, this interview means a lot to me. I'm a very like flower kind of guy. Like, I don't want to wait until like the end of something where I can be like, yo, me and Ken did that for me. Nah, I want to wait. I want to be able to say it in your phrase, and I want to say thank you again for putting the content that you put out. You know what I'm saying? There's some people that just put out content just for entertainment, and there's some people that put out content that actually resonates with people. And I'm happy that you did that for me, because I was on that journey of trying to find where to move to from a different city. I don't know what Orlando was going to bring me. And I was like, damn, this video is so good. Like, I'm moving to Oviedo. So thank you for that again.
Of course, man.
And do something great today. But I do have some personality questions before we get out of here.
Hit me.
Number 1, would you rather a week of sunny days or warm nights?
Sunny days. Yeah.
Sunny days.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a night owl anyways, but like, yeah, sunny days.
Dope. Number 2, if you had to pick a favorite cereal, what would it be?
Favorite cereal is Frosted Flakes, man.
Beautiful.
You gotta have it.
What's number 2, just in case?
It's on cereal?
Yeah.
Just plain Cheerios. I don't know why.
Beautiful.
I don't know why.
We gotta hear number 3. If you say what I'm about to, because your number 2 is part of mine too.
No, Corn Pops is number 3.
Okay.
Yeah,
We fell off. Anyways. That's all right. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Number 3, what is a question in your life you're still trying to find the answer to?
Dang, man, that's deep. What am I capable of? What am I capable of? Because I think, if I would have gone back and told my 20-year-old self where I would be at 38, I would be like, I wouldn't even believe you.
Yeah.
I would have thought, because I swear, like when I told you earlier in the pod, like I'm at today what I thought would have taken me till I was 45.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, okay, cool. So then my bandwidth is much bigger than I thought it was, and I've got more opportunity than I thought I'd have. And so, just trying to figure out what's possible.
Hey, take that and run with it. The Loft season 5. We got Ken on the show. Can we get better?
No,
I don't
you
know.
can, man.
I don't know.
I'll introduce you to better people for sure.
Thank you. But do something positive today. Say something nice to someone. Call someone you haven't spoke to in a while, and subscribe. Talk to you guys later.
Thanks, guys.